has a thesis known as the mind-body dualism. In this thesis, he argues that the mind and body are separated rather than together.
Physical properties are public, equally observable by anyone. Mental events or properties such as the conscience are private to the subject, who has a privileged access to them of a kind no one has to the physical. The mind-body problem concerns the relationship between these two sets of properties. The mind-body problem also breaks down into a number of components.
Number 1, the ontological question. What are mental states and what are physical states? Are mental states and physical states entirely distinct?
Number 2, the causal question. Do physical states influence mental states? Do mental states influence physical states? Dualists in the philosophy of mind emphasize the radical difference between mind and matter. They all deny that the mind is the same as the brain, and some deny that the mind is wholly a product of the brain.
Well, I think therefore I am is Descartes' most famous one-liner. Substance dualism is his most famous philosophical position. The argument rests on the claim that the essence of mind is thought, while the essence of body is extension, and this duality of essences implies a duality of corresponding substances.
The seemingly intractable nature of these problems has given much rise to many different philosophical views.
Property dualists argue that mental states are irreducible attributes of brain states. For the property dualists, mental phenomena are non-physical properties of physical substances. Consciousness is perhaps the most widely recognized example of a non-physical property of physical substances. Still, other dualists argue that mental states, dispositions, and episodes are brain states, although the states cannot be conceptualized in exactly the same way without loss of meaning.
Substance dualists typically argue that the mind and the body are composed of different substances, and that the mind is a thinking thing that lacks the usual attributes of physical objects, such as shape, size, location, solidity, and motion. Substance dualists fall into several camps depending upon how they think the mind and body are related. Interactionalists believe that minds and bodies causally affect one another. Occasionalism and parallelism, genuinely motivated by a concern to preserve the integrity of physical science, deny this, ultimately attributing all apparent interaction to God.
This argument is about how the mind causes some of our body limbs to move. For example, raising one's hand to ask a question, and how the body's sense organs cause sensations in the mind when their natures are completely different. Descartes asks, what is the point of arguing if the mind and body could exist without each other?
Idealist views say that physical states are really mental. This is because the physical world is an empirical world, and as such, it is an intersubject product of our collective experience. Dualist views say that the mental and the physical are both real and neither can be assimilated.
René Descartes was a famous philosopher who wrote about doubt and uncertainty. I think, therefore I am, was one of his famous quotes, as well as the cogito. Unfortunately, Descartes died in 1650, which ended his life as well as his ideas and career early. Although nothing is for certain, we wonder what else he could have proved if he had only lived for 10 more years.